and we are back with the third segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this third segment, we are going to be looking at the Cavs and their series against the Orlando Magic as they go up 3-2. Now, if you remember previously, I said that the Cavs, they have been unable to score over 100 points in any of these playoff games. So this is the first time that they scored over 100 points, and they win. So they did have home court advantage in this game. The final score was 104-103, and they did get saved with a very huge play from, I believe it was Evan Mobley, who got the game-sealing block towards the end to sort of put the game away and make sure that the Magic can't come back. And unfortunately, what makes it even worse is Banchero. He ended up making a three towards the end of the game, which is like why the final score is which is why they're up by 1 point. So they were down by one, and if they only had if they had missed one free throw, then they probably would have tied it and the game would have gone into overtime. Or if Evan Mobley didn't get that block, which is really like the play that sort of saved Cleveland from losing that game. If Evan Mobley did not get that block, then it completely changed the game. That block, it was a very clutch block. It was one of the most clutch blocks that the Cavs have had in a long time. And obviously, the last clutch block that the Cavs have had in recent memory was J.R. Smith blocking LeBron from winning Game 1. I'm just playing, but was LeBron James blocking Andre Iguodala on the chase down in Game 6. And speaking of LeBron, there is a possibility that there's a lot of growing debate now on whether or not he's going to sign with the Lakers again, or whether or not he's going to go to a different team and decide to be a free agent for the first time since 2018. And if I remember the report correctly, LeBron was unsure exactly of what his status is, not just on the Lakers, but also in the NBA as a whole. He has no idea whether or not he's going to retire sooner or he's going to retire later. But I do have a feeling that LeBron might test the free agency market, and see what teams would want him to join their roster if the Cavs end up losing, or if they end up playing rather well but underperform. Let's say maybe they lose in the second round. Maybe LeBron wants to go back to Cleveland and play his final years there. That would be a pretty cool way to go out. But I do think that the decision on whether or not to explore free agency is also going to be influenced on the decision of Bronny James and whether or not a team picks him up for the draft, whether or not he decides to go to college for one more year. And I feel like depending on whether he decides if he enters the transfer portal, then LeBron might go ahead and sign with a team that's relatively close to that college, or if he does get drafted, then LeBron decides to sign with the team that drafts Bronny James. So there's that possibility of and I feel like that might also have a little bit of an influence as to why, or where LeBron could go and things of that nature, and what the Cavs might do if that does happen. Again, that's a big if. We have no idea. So, but just fruit for thought. And with the Magic going down in the series 3-2, they're forced to play 2 elimination games at most. So they have to play. They play the next one in their home court, and if the trend keeps going the way that it's going, then the Orlando Magic should expect to win in Game 6, because so far it seems that every single team that, or at least in this series, it seems like whichever team has the home court advantage is the team that's going to end up winning in the end. And this is also, like, I wanted to point out, this was the first game that actually did not end in a blowout, and it was really close. So the games are getting a lot closer now that the series is getting a little bit tighter, and now that it's going to 6 games, we're going to see if the Orlando Magic can, or if they have what it takes to win in this series. So I didn't really watch this game because I was watching the Knicks blow my heart out, and then I was watching the Pacers game, and like the little bit. And once I got bored of watching the Pacers game because I thought it was going to be a blowout, then the Cavs game basically ended, and I literally only got to watch like the final few seconds where I saw Evan Mobley get that block, and that was basically like the entirety of this game that I saw. But Paolo Banchero, he ended the game with 39 points and shot 14 of 24, from the field, and 4 of 7 from 3. Franz Wagner, he ended the game with 3 for 11 from the field and 14 points. Jalen Suggs ended 5 of 14 from the field with and was 0 for 5 from 3. So, like, Paolo Banchero was really, like, the only player really playing well in this game. And that was basically it for the scoring for the Orlando Magic. So, they just need, like, a few more people to help out in the scoring, and they would have ended up winning this game, no problem. If Franz Wagner didn't get blocked by Evan Mobley, then we would be looking at this completely different, and the game might be in overtime. Like, the game might have been sent to overtime with a completely different result, but that's not what ended up happening. The Cavs ended up being able to close out because they were able to actually get a stop. And this, honestly, it's literally like a parallel between like the team that was able to close out and the team that was able to close out getting a stop, and the team that wasn't able to get a stop to close out. And like the Knicks, they weren't able to get a stop to close out, but you know, the Cavs, they were able to, and it's like just a complete parallel. So Evan Mobley, he ended the game with 14 points, 13 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 4 assists. Darius Garland ended the game with 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Donovan Mitchell, he ended the game with 28 points and 6 rebounds. Max Strus ended the game with 16 points, and let me see real quick. Yeah, Marcus Morris he ended up getting minutes for the Cavs in this game, and he ended up scoring 12 points. So obviously, like, I mean, this Cavs team, it was they played really well in this game, and they deserved this home win. And now they're going into Game 6. They're going into an elimination game in Game 6, looking to close out the series. And then once they close out the series, they're expected to play either between the Knicks or the Sixers. And the Cavs, they lost to the Knicks previously, and the Knicks have gotten, well, like as a whole, they've gotten better, but now that they don't have Julius Randle, I'm a little bit worried about how they're going to match up against the Cavs, because this Cavs team, they have a lot more options to go to than what I saw the Knicks go to, at least in their previous series, at least in the previous game that they played, because the Knicks, they sort of have that give it to one player offense and let that player just do whatever he can do. And that's really what they relied on. That they relied on that for a majority of overtime, and it just didn't result in the win, and it got me really upset because like those guys, they really should have like put more effort in trying to like get the team involved as opposed to just letting Jalen Brunson do everything, especially when they saw that he was struggling. Like excuse me, but like even talking about the Knicks is making me sick. But regardless, it was like I really feel like that was just like it was a bad move for the Knicks to do that and to just rely on that one player. And they should really, I mean, with the Cavs, you have several other players that you could rely on to sort of hit that shot late in the game. You have Mitchell, obviously. You also have Strus, who could hit it. You also have Darius Garland, who could take over the game at any given point. And it really is like, to me, at least, I was unfortunate that they were unable to close out that game. And for the Cavs, theoretically, the Knicks should have an easy time beating the Cavs if they do match up. But given how I also think that the Sixers should have been easy work, that sort of has not been the case. And I'm like, again, it should have been easy work by now, but that just hasn't been what's happening. And I'm a little bit hesitant to decide who I think is going to win these next few games, which is going to go into the fourth segment, which will be my playoff preview of the two games that are going to be going down tonight, which are going to be the Mavericks and the Clippers matching up against each other at 10, and the Boston Celtics matching up against the Miami Heat. So I basically, I don't have anything else that I need to talk about for, the first few teams that I just mentioned. So I might as well go ahead and, before I do the next segment, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you think LeBron James is going to do? Do you think he's going to stay on LA, or do you think he's going to test out the free agency and see what options he has? And do you think the Lakers are better off trying to keep LeBron, or do you think they're better off letting him walk and deciding what to do there? Or should they try to get players in the free agency to see, or to trade for a player to see if they can convince LeBron to stay on the Lakers for a little bit longer? What do you think? What do you think are LeBron's best options? What do you think are the possible teams and the possible scenarios that you could see him go on? And do you think he's going to use the Olympics as a means of being able to get close to some of the other players and decide to join their team in free agency? Because the Olympics are coming up, and there are going to be a lot of talented players that are going to be playing in the Olympics, and also going to be free agents sometime towards, or also are looking to win regular championships in the NBA, and they might want to say, hey, you could come over to this, or we could decide, or depending on if the player is a free agent, they could both sign to a certain team. But again, that's just food for thought. I'm not entirely sure what LeBron's moves are going to be coming up in free agency, if he even does decide to become a free agent. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and go into the fourth segment, where I talk about the Mavericks and the Clippers series and the Heat and the Celtics series, and who I think has the best chances of making it out. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to predict who's going to win. So if you guys could just go opposite and just pick the opposite of what I pick, and that's the team that's going to end up coming out. So I will be right back after this short break.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.